Hey guys, I'm Larry from AmmoNYC.com, and today we're talking about the top 10 detailing mistakes that kill your car. That's all coming up today on this episode of Drive Clean. Mistake number 10 is a very common one and extremely dangerous. That's using an Armor All type product on your floor mats. A lot of times I see guys, they pour Armor All just like this and they scrub it into the mat. Makes it look nice and shiny, but when you're driving your car, it gets on the bottom of your shoes and then on your brake pedal, and lots of problems can happen. The best way to clean your rubber floor mats is simply with soap and water, scrub them down, dry them, and put them back in. Now, mistake number 9 is using the wrong products on the interior of your car. Take, for example, this carpet. If I were to use car soap on it, we'd have suds forever and we could never get it out. That would actually cause mildew. What we want to use is a foaming agent that's actually designed for carpets, just like this one here. So give it a little shake. Now you see that foam right there? I'll take a scrub brush, go opposite directions. Put that to the side. Take your clean towel, mop it up just like this. See how I'm twisting? That's gonna pull all the dirt out of the carpet and into the microfiber towel. Now, if I had used the wrong products like this one right here, it would have been foaming for days. And then you put it back in the car, it's gonna create mildew. That's why you use the right products for the right job. Mistake number 8 is using a solvent-based tire dressing. As you can see, it's a bit liquidy, and when it comes out, it's extremely shiny, just like this. But what happens is, over time, as you're driving, you get a ton of tire sling. What I recommend is a tire gel. Right here, we have a perfect example. As it comes out, watch. Now that's tire gel. It's very sticky, very goopy. And when you put it on with an applicator pad just like this. Let it sit for a minute, tap it off. And then when you drive, no tire sling, so remember that. The most common mistake I see is mistake number 7, and that's washing your car improperly with these nasty old rags. Now what happens is, if you were to use this on your car, all the dirt will be trapped on the outside, and you'd essentially be scratching the paint. What I like to use is a mitt just like this. It's nice and clean, and what happens is all the dirt gets trapped inside, and then you can wash it off in your second bucket. So, big thing here is, when they get dirty, throw them away. Mistake number 6 is definitely the most annoying, and I'm talking about the glass. What's gonna save you is using the right towels. Here I have a microfiber towel, and here I have a microfiber window towel. Now, as you can see, the pillars or the plush on this is much thicker than these over here. This is what's gonna save you. The first thing you wanna do is take your window cleaner, a few squirts on a microfiber towel just like this. Go straight lines. Then I like to go to the top of the glass, pinch it, pull it all the way down, just like that. Now, just before it's done, take a dry microfiber towel and just buff off the rest. And that'll make sure that you don't have any streaks at all. Inside the windshield is one of the most annoying parts of the car to keep clean. It's awkward, difficult, and usually not clean after the first pass. The trick is to use your right hand upside down and lay across the passenger seat. Also, try to avoid spraying window cleaner on the windshield because the mist or the drips have a tendency to leave watermarks on the dashboard. If you're thinking of quickly wiping the dash after the drip, I pretty much guarantee window streaks after that from the dirt and the oils picked up from the surface of the dashboard and then smeared again on the window. Believe me, it's a losing battle. Now, one of my favorite mistakes is wiping your car without any lubrication. Now, let me back up a little bit. I have a friend of mine that got a bird poo, unfortunately, on his beautiful BMW. And the first thing he thought of was wiping it with this nasty thing. You might as well use a scuff pad to get all that poo off. And unfortunately, he put a bunch of scratches in his paint. So next time, I gave him a good tip. If there's bird poo, dust, or anything else on this paint, use a spray wax. It acts as a lubricant. Just hit it a few times like this. Then use a microfiber towel, lightly, one direction, that picks up any of the dirt, dust, or poo. Flip the pad over, and then just lightly buff it clean. Look how beautiful that looks. That's one of the biggest things I see at car shows is guys using something that's improper on their paint. So do everything you can to avoid that. Mistake number 4 is the one I get the most emails about, and that's of course about the different types of soaps. Each of them has its own purpose, but not all of them are best for your car. So we're gonna start over here. Anything like hand soap or dish soap is really great stuff, but it's not always good to use it on your car. Now, occasionally I do use it if I'm looking to strip the entire car of all of its wax, and then usually I'll compound or polish or do whatever the car needs. Now, for a normal wash, like a Sunday morning wash, you don't want to use something like this. It's really harsh. All right, well, the brightly colored soap here is generally $4, $5, $6, and you find it on most auto parts store shelves. And that is not also the best stuff you want to use on your paint. Now, a lot of times, these can be just a little bit too aggressive for what I'm looking for. Now, over here, I have very specific paint soap and very specific wheel soap. Now, the paint soap does not remove any of the existing layers of protection on your paint. Now, if you move over here, this is a little bit more aggressive because wheels have brake dust that's really warm, it's really hot down there, and they get embedded into the metal. So you need something a little bit more strong, let's call it, than something you would use on your paint. So this is the gamut of different soaps you would want to use. The hand soap, stick with the hands. The car soap, I don't know, if it's $4 or $5, I'd think twice. Really, you want to focus on soap that is specifically designed for paint and soap that is specifically designed for your wheels. Mistake number 3 is more annoying than it is harmful, and that's forgetting to double check your paint after you wax your car. Now, as you can see here, wax is embedded in all these little bolts here, and I missed a little area right here. So what you want to do is take your brush, hit it with a little spray wax, rub it off on your leg. Now get in here and just agitate all this stuff out. Now again, it's not the end of the world, but there's nothing worse than pulling up to a car show and forgetting a big stripe of wax. You'll look like a nut job. So clean it out just like this. There we go. And this little guy right here, since it's dried, see it's a little bit dry, it's hard to get off. So quick little spritz of spray wax, one wipe, and you're good to go. Mistake number 2 is using a product that leaves a greasy film on the interior of your car. We don't like to use that for 2 reasons. 1, it actually blinds you as you're driving, and no one wants that. And 2, it acts like a greenhouse effect. So the light comes in through your windshield, gets trapped underneath the greasy part, heats up the vinyl, leather, or plastic, or whatever it's on, and actually dries it out and cracks it. And no one wants to replace any of those things because they're really expensive. So instead, what I use is a product like Lexol. And what you do is you put it on a microfiber towel, just a few squirts. So what this is gonna do is protect and condition your leather, but it's not gonna make it shiny. So you put it on just like this. It's gonna soak in, let it sit for a minute, turn your microfiber towel over, and clean it off. And you're gonna get a nice matte finish. None of that shiny stuff. We don't want that. Leather conditioner is a great product, but what I don't use it on is the shifter knob and the steering wheel. Try to avoid those because you don't need any accidents. All right, the number 1 biggest mistake I see is using the same bucket to wash your paint that you do your wheels. Now, the 2 of these should be very, very separate. What I do is use 2 individual buckets. As you can see, one is black and one is white. I can never confuse the 2 of them. The black one I like for the wheels, the white one I use for the paint. Now, the big thing here is you want to use nice, clean, fresh mitts to work on the paint. And you can use some nice, clean, fresh wash mitts to work on the wheels. But the difference is you never want to interchange them. The wheel mitts never hit the paint, and the paint mitts never hit the wheels. Separating the 2 of them will make your car stay clean and shiny without scratching it. That's the number 1 thing. If you take anything away from this video, you do that, your car will look fantastic for years to come. Bonus tip number 1 is always use a grit guard. I use it in my wash bucket and in my wheel bucket. What happens is all the dirt comes down and gets trapped underneath here. So when you're using your wash mitt and you can scrub the top of it, all the dirt will fall out and fall into these little holes and not come back up into the wash mitt and then back onto your paint or back onto your wheels. This is a great item. It's about $4 or $5, maybe $6, and it'll save your paint every single time. Bonus tip number 2 is something I often see at car shows, and that's the car duster. As you can see here, one is extremely dirty and the other one is clean. Now, I don't like to use these at all, but if you absolutely must, make sure you take this piece off right here and you can throw it in the wash and clean it, just like I did here. And if you're gonna use it to clean dust off, the way you wanna use it is to just have it barely touch the surface of the paint, as opposed to doing this. smashing it down and rubbing it in. That never works. So again, if you have a little piece of dust here and you want to use this, just barely touch the surface. Now I try to avoid car dusters altogether. What I use is a great spray wax that acts as a lubricant. Hit it a few times just like that. The first swipe cleans it off. The second swipe is to buff to a shine. Now what I'm using here is a spray wax that adds another layer of protection, so I'm constantly adding layers after layers. That's much safer and much better for your paint than any car duster will ever be. All right guys, that's my top 10 mistakes. I'm sure there's a whole lot more, and I bet you have a ton more. If you do, put them on the comments below. I'm Larry from Drive Clean, and you've been watching the Drive Channel.